So it feels like the entrepreneurial journey is wildly unpredictable and everyone's journey is completely different from everyone else's, but actually, having seen about 4,500 businesses behind the scenes, I have seen so many predictable stages through the entrepreneurial journey. So here's what I want to do. I want to walk you through those predictable stages so that you can start to navigate your entrepreneurial journey more safely, with more growth, and you know when you've hit certain milestones. And the other thing is that there are some pitfalls or some really dangerous spots in the entrepreneurial journey, and these are places you want to avoid. So watch right through to the end so you don't end up in one of those dangerous spots, in particular the desert, which I'm going to talk to you about soon. So the first part of the entrepreneurial journey is pre-launch. This is before you've made revenue, before you've got customers. This is one of the best parts of the entrepreneurial journey because everything's perfect. It's an idea in your head. It's so much fun. You're talking about it with friends. There's the excitement, the trepidation of going on a new journey. You're planning, you're preparing, and nothing could possibly go wrong. And then unfortunately you do start and things go wrong, but it's really nice in that planning startup phase. One of the things that you want to do in the startup phase is you want to test multiple different ideas. You want to talk to mentors. You want to talk to people who are experienced entrepreneurs to see if they think you're building something that's going to be valuable and that they can offer you some feedback early before you have to make real life mistakes in the real world. So I'd really encourage you, don't just rush straight in. Collect a little bit of data, collect a bit of feedback, see if you can refine and improve the idea. Slight little tweaks can make a huge difference down the line if you start on the right foot. So as soon as you do start, you're going to find yourself in something called the wilderness. The wilderness is where you have probably 1 to 3 co-founders or maybe an early stage person on the team. You are feeling around in the dark, trying to survive. And in the wilderness, you're essentially trying to survive every single week. You're trying to make some sales. You're trying to figure out what the market actually wants. And it feels like a little bit of a jungle that you've walked into because now it's noisy. You've discovered there are other people who do this thing as well. You thought you had a new and an original idea, and now you've found 27 other companies that are doing it too. You've discovered that it's hard and it's expensive to do marketing, and it's hard and expensive to get people's attention. You found that some of the things that would have been easy in your mind to supply actually are a little bit trickier than you thought. So you're trying to figure all of that out. So that wilderness phase is where most people get stuck. I don't know if you know this, but about 2/3 of all businesses stay really, really small. They can't afford to hire a full-time employee. They can't afford to be profitable after they pay the founder an income. So most businesses get stuck in the wilderness, and that's where they will always be unless they can figure out how to get to the next stage. Okay, so the next phase is called the boutique phase. This is where you have 3 to 12 people and you're normally constrained within a geography. You have figured out how to make payroll, you figured out how to make expenses. Your business is kind of into a bit of a rhythm. You make sales, you deliver, and people are happy, and everything's going well, but it's not taking lift off. It's not actually a big, exciting or fun adventure just yet. It kind of gets a little bit boring and it gets a little bit constrained. Now think about a boutique like a hair salon or a restaurant is a boutique business, or a boutique consultancy, and think about a little group of people who are stuck in the office together and they kind of work hard. Everyone makes their income, but the business isn't wildly profitable after everyone's paid. Now, some boutiques are what we call lifestyle boutiques. Lifestyle boutiques are the ones that have fun, freedom, and flexibility, and here's what they do differently. They're not constrained geographically. Their customers are all over the world. Their people are not stuck in an office. They have remote workers. They have people anywhere in the world can join the team, and often the best people are people who work in remote locations. They've figured out how to do things digitally. They have digital marketing and digital sales, and they have digital delivery, and all of those things have made the business operate in such a way that the business has a life of its own and momentum, so that when you switch the lights off on a Friday, the business is still talking to people on YouTube, and someone's listening on Spotify, and someone's doing something with your online portal. So a lot of good stuff's happening even when no one's actually working, because so much of the business is a digital business. Now when this happens, you end up being able to pay all the bills and also have great profit at the end of the month as well. So most people want to get to this lifestyle boutique. The crazy thing about a lifestyle boutique is that probably as recently as 15 years ago, it would have been a pipe dream for most people. There's no way that you could have had a lifestyle boutique back in my grandfather's day, or even my dad when he was starting his career, because it was just not possible for a small team of 3 to 12 people to punch so far above their weight and build a globally impactful business. There weren't free tools available to do all those things. So it's only a recent idea that you can have so much fun, freedom, flexibility, and profit from a little business of 3 to 12 people if you set it up and do it right. So now we're going to talk about the danger zone. The danger zone is when you get to 12 people and you keep going, 13, 14, 15. Unfortunately, you're going to be in what we call the danger zone or the desert. And in this zone of business, in this stage, you're too big to be small and you're too small to be big. Now this applies if you're a boutique or even a lifestyle boutique. The problem is that you've now got too many people on the team, and you need a manager and a leader, and you need dashboards, and you need software, and you need overheads, and you probably need some debt facilities, maybe you need some investment, but you're too small for all of those things, but you're too big to be one of those little nimble dynamic little businesses, so you're kind of in this no man's land, and it's a really tough time. I hear over and over again people say, oh, the business was just awesome when there was like 10 of us, and then when we got to 16, 17, it was just horrible, and everything was breaking, and we were profitable at 10 people, and we were losing money at 17 people, right? And that's because in the desert, everything starts to go wrong. So one decision you want to make is like, do we want to go past 12 people? And if you don't want to build a bigger performance business, then the answer is no, just stay 12 or less, and only go 13, 14, 15 people if you want to get to the next phase, which is the performance business. So as you grow the business and you get through that desert and you get to about 30 people, you're going to end up in one of two camps. Camp number one is not a great place. It's called the factory. The factory is the soulless, large headcount business, and it could be 30 people or 300 people, and essentially everyone grumbles about coming to work. It's low margin businesses. These are businesses that have less than 15% profit margins, and essentially you're working really hard. If anything goes wrong, it eats into the profit. Everyone's worried about margin, everyone's worried about cash flow. You don't have a lot of spare fat in the business to be able to invest in different things. You don't have a lot of money for innovation. You can't hire those super talented people. The culture starts to stagnate. Right, so it's not necessarily a great fun place to work anymore. So I call that a factory, and we don't want to end up with a factory. What we want to end up with is a performance business. So a performance business, typically 30 to 150 people. You've got a really great leadership team at the top. In the executive leadership team, you've got a CEO who's visionary, a COO who runs a tight ship, a CMO who's generating marketing and sales results, a CTO who's building technology and media assets, and a CFO who's making sure that you've got plenty of resources for the business. You might also have a board, and you might also have some advisors around. And then underneath that executive leadership team, you've got your teams of teams. You've got your products, territories, markets, or functions, and these teams, they all know what they're up to, they know what they're doing, they're aligned to the bigger goals of the business, and everyone's working together to perform. Now in this case, you're going to have innovation, you're going to have digital assets, you're going to be doing something that's cool, you're going to have built a brand, right? There's going to be some electricity and some fun in the team. Everyone's really fired up about the purpose beyond making money in that business. And the great thing is you're going to have high margins. So you're probably going to have 30 or 40% margins. You're going to have the ability to attract investment if you need it. And there's going to be a lot of excitement about the future and direction of the business. So that performance business is going to be exitable. It's ultimately going to become something that is valuable. Someone might offer you money to buy the business. You might get unsolicited offers for people to buy the business. I've had businesses where we've had unsolicited offers for £15 million just coming through the mail, and it's like, hey, we've seen what you're up to, we've seen what you're doing, we want to buy the business, and you get the kind of like a weird letter through the post saying that someone wants to buy the business for a lot of money. It's a wild experience to get to that point. It's difficult. You've got to cross the desert, you've got to do a lot of things right in order to get to that performance business. But that's where you want to get to if you're going to build a bigger business. Now, it might just happen to be that all things are happening in your favor, right time, right place, you've got the wind in your sails, and you've built a performance business, but oh my goodness, it's bigger and better than you ever thought possible, and you end up with a unicorn. So there's a reason they call them unicorns, because they happen very, very rarely, and it's almost impossible to produce them deliberately. You can do everything right, but if you get the timing wrong, or if you get hit with some bad luck, you're not going to have a unicorn business. A unicorn business is essentially a performance business that had the wind in its sails and it had some lucky breaks, and it ends up as being one of those really big billion-dollar businesses that people talk about and that people feature on the front of the magazine. I personally have no idea how to orchestrate a unicorn business. I just know that if you focus on a performance business and everything goes right, you might end up with a unicorn. So with that said, now you've got a bit of a roadmap on the entrepreneurial journey. Key question: do you want to have a lifestyle business or do you want to have a performance business? Let me know in the chat below. I would love to find out whether there's a good balance of lifestyle or performance who are looking at this channel. Also, like and subscribe if you're enjoying this content.